With the celebration of Maharaja on Netflix, and I'm glad that it's getting the deserved love beyond the Tamil audience, I think one thing that has stayed with viewers is the non-linear screenplay that almost confuses you to the point of wanting to give up, of almost dismissing the film as slightly silly, only for it to in regular intervals give you a sucker punch that invests you more. The highlight in all of this discourse regarding the movie has been the way director Nithilan Swaminathan has weaved together the climax. Yes, I will be talking about the similarities that it does have with Iratta, one of my favorite films from last year, but there is a brilliance that is simply undeniable of how the creator just limits the right amount of information, gaslights you momentarily, shocks you with another revelation, only to make your jaw drop in the concluding moments. For those who haven't seen the film, I would really urge you to watch it on Netflix so that you really join in on the universal feeling that most of us have regarding its effective storytelling. It's a really tough task for a movie to keep you hanging till the very last moment, till the climax that unfolds. To hold your attention is another art form altogether. So through this video, I want to talk about some Indian films that held on to our attention and threw us curveballs in the very end that made our jaws drop. I will not be talking about plot twists that shocked us but ruined movies, like seeing the bald head of Anushka Sharma appear in Ae Dil Hai Mushkil. I will be giving timestamps regarding the films I mentioned, so if you haven't seen the film I am speaking about, you can just skip to the next film. Hopefully you have seen many of the films that I will be talking about on this episode. So here is Tried&Refused Productions with Indian climax movie twists that shocked everyone. Dawn. The monumental task to remake the 70s smash hit Dawn had put a lot of pressure on both Shah Rukh Khan and Farhan Akhtar. On the director, yes, regarding how he can adapt the same story in a modern context, but on the actor more, on how the hell can Shah Rukh Khan fit the shoes of such an iconic character immortalized by Amitabh Bachchan. The film ticked all the right elements of the story: a stylized approach, a suave but sinister anti-hero as the lead, a double role, and a cat and mouse chase that would eventually also present several engaging action set pieces. It, however, had the tonality maybe being presented as just a good attempt, but what Farhan Akhtar was capable of in the climax surpassed it in my regard. Roma calling out Vijay and saying "I love you" for SRK's character to reply "मुझे भी जंगली बिल्लियां बहुत पसंद है." It absolutely shook the audience. A completely different route taken from the original film, and it led to Dawn being 2 steps ahead of everyone, ending the film iconically with his dialogue and sinister laugh, only adding to the possibilities of several installments ahead. Karthik calling Karthik. An underrated psychological thriller, according to me, is a 2010 Vijay Lalwani directed film Karthik Calling Karthik. This is a movie that really went under people's radar, but I think it did a fabulous job with its screenplay, especially making us ask consistent questions regarding Karthik and his true personality. A character dealing with the loss of his brother, something for which he holds himself accountable, and an introvert whose mere existence is unknown to the woman he obsesses over. Contemplating unaliving himself, mysterious calls appear with the same voice, guiding him to live a life of assertiveness and confidence. Professional and personal success follow, but the presence of this mysterious voice starts haunting him. When Karthik believes it's right to expose the presence of this voice to those closest to him, the same voice that contributed to his success causes his downfall too. Karthik is revealed to be a schizophrenic, having created an alter ego after the death of his brother, a personality diametrically opposite to him in real life, recording phone calls for himself to be the guiding force and his own misery. A great and interesting twist that I personally did not see coming, and even though I am not a fan of the flowery, happy ending, it really turned out to become a fascinating psychological deep dive. Talaash. A Bollywood thriller which focused on parents grieving with the loss of their child is far more deep and nuanced than one remembers it to be. The case of Suri investigating the death of an actor Arman Kapoor, missing cash and several parties with monetary ulterior motives formulated to become a very interesting thriller. As Suri's wife, Roshni, finds solace in a medium to communicate with her son, Suri dismisses such beliefs and ideas. It is when Suri is aided by a prostitute, Rosie, where things get really interesting in uncovering what truly led to the things that led everyone here. All tying into an accident 3 years ago that led to the death of the same prostitute that is guiding him today. Rosie, played by Kareena Kapoor, was killed 3 years ago, and it is her spirit today that is guiding Suri in the right path while investigating the case, in turn also leading her to the path of finally getting her revenge. I may have expected many things, but a paranormal angle regarding the plot was something that really caught me off guard. Iratta. This is the Malayalam movie that most people are referring to when seeing the parallels with Maharaja. You will be skeptical about how the movie, with its 1 hour and 50-minute running time, is going to formulate a convincing whodunit, which will not only be technically impressive but something that emotionally draws you in. Joju George is one of the key reasons for this successfully being communicated, as he really does give his heart and soul to both the characters, playing twins, diametrically opposite to each other in demeanor and actions. Pramod, an honorable cop whose wife left him for his drunk ways with a newborn daughter, and Vinod, a corrupt ruffian cop. The brilliant nature of this film is that it makes you believe that there is no sense of reprieve for a character so despicable, especially Vinod, the drunkard policeman whose murder is being investigated. Imagine trying to turn a new leaf in life. After some happiness has seeped in with the introduction of a woman in your life, this is Vinod's experience, only for him to realize that the girl he assaulted, mind you, at a time where he was willing to change, is his twin brother's daughter. This isn't the cherry on the cake of how sad the film is. Vinod, consumed with the guilt of this revelation, himself. The case is solved, right? It was not a murder. But what's worse is that Pramod now can never meet his daughter, because her last memory of that face is the person assaulting her, his twin brother. A brother is lost and a man can never reunite with his family. A life inundated with guilt. Some will equate this to be worse than death itself. Kahaani. Sujoy Ghosh was at his best with this compelling thriller. A British Indian software engineer comes to Kolkata to find out about the whereabouts of her husband. Missing for 2 years, officials can't find any records about Arnab Bakshi, and it all somehow relates to a poisonous attack that had taken place 2 years ago. All elements seem to be against Vidya's personal investigation, when a scuffle ensues with a person called Damji in exchange for vital information on her husband's whereabouts. You get the shock of your life as she gets kicked in the stomach. The iconic close-up to Vidya Balan's eyes, removing her prosthetic belly, and with great precision using a hairpin to kill the man. The pregnancy front and the aid of the police was a mere means for the end for Vidya to kill the perpetrators responsible for the poisonous gas attacks and expose them to the officials. A great smokescreen to the real plan. Gargi. One of the most disturbing investigative thrillers that released 2 years ago was the Sai Pallavi starrer Gargi. A hard-working daughter helps her low-income family to make ends meet, making sure that her father gets the best representation in court for a gruesome act committed against a minor. I think what makes the ending of this film and the big reveal so shocking is that R.S. Shivaji, who plays Gargi's father, just looks so innocent. You almost decide for yourself that there is no way he may have committed such a crime. On top of that, the context of Gargi always feeling protected by her own father eliminates all kinds of suspicion, only for the big reveal to happen that the innocent looking father, the security guard of the building, was also responsible for committing such a grave act, leaving audiences shocked on how this disturbing tale unfolded. Anadhadhun. It has been 6 years since the release of Anadhadhun, and I can still say that it is one of the most interesting, complex and engaging thrillers made from Hindi cinema. The film had a zany yet intense vibe, keeping a hold of its dark comedic pitch while also being gruesome when the stakes get murky and bloody. The number of curveballs thrown by Sriram Raghavan kept you on the edge of your seat. Akash, Is he really blind, or is he just leveraging a disability for clout? Simi and her murderous journey of killing not only her husband, but every person that may be a witness in a court of law, making Akash blind, the racket of organ trade, and the final outcome, an accident that leads to Akash finally being in Poland, still playing his music. Sophie assumes him to be blind, knowing the sequence of events, only for him to bid adieu and consciously smash a can on the floor with his stick while walking away. So Akash did use Simi's eyes for his operation, or was this just a stroke of luck? Before social media was inundated with film theory videos and discussions, Anadhadhun really made it the norm, at least for the Hindi film context. Kaun. This Ram Gopal Verma directed film was twisted in so many ways. Our protagonist is found speaking to her parents in the room on a gloomy day as the news states that a serial killer is on the loose and a random businessman comes knocking on the door. What is one supposed to do? A sequence of events that includes eerie noises, confusion regarding identity, and strangers being in close proximity with each other leads to three individuals under one roof, each doubtful of their identity: a businessman, a thief, and a hapless young woman. The businessman is doubtful of the mansion and the location of the owner, only to get to know that the woman who opened the door isn't as harmless as one would presume. Attacks and deaths lead to the big revelation of the presumably kind woman being a psychotic killer. Urmila talking on the phone to her parents while the connection is disconnected, only for another person to ring the bell as she now gets access to her next prey, while manically laughing right in front of the camera still brings chills to my spine. Ugly. One of the most dark and twisted crime thrillers include the underrated film Ugly, directed by Anurag Kashyap. This film is a representation of the filth that is society, each looking out for their vested interests and lacking empathy and kindness for one another. A struggling actor and divorcee's daughter gets kidnapped, and every character has a stake in this terrible news, some wanting to extract ransom, the others wanting to settle old scores with one another. Throughout, however, you assume that the little girl will be found with someone. There is always hope. No matter how despicable the characters, the girl will be discovered. And while all these characters are embroiled in their petty ransom calls and exchanges, the little girl is found dead in the marketplace inside the sidecar of a motorcycle, making it one of the most morbid endings to a gruesome and twisted thriller. Diya. A film consistently recommended to me by the Kannada film audience since its release in 2020 was Diya, a film that on paper to me seemed like just a regular romance, and it was so far from what I originally presumed. Diya, an introverted girl, is smitten by a man but never has the courage to convey the same to him. It's only years later that a beautiful relationship blossoms, that finally her dreams come into fruition. An accident, however, leads to the death of Rohit, and Diya, dealing with this severe depression, has thoughts, only for her to be stopped in her tracks literally with a call by a stranger called Adi, who retrieved her phone from a thief. A new romance blossoms, but guess what? Rohit is still alive and would love to reunite with Diya. Diya breaks up with Adi. Adi deals with the loss of his mother, bearing severe guilt in not having the ability to turn back time. He goes to commit on the same railway track as Diya had attempted. Diya, while with Rohit, is also dealing with massive guilt, and Rohit gives her the "Ja ji le apni zindagi" speech. Diya and Adi are finally going to reunite, and this Kannada film is going to give me the happily ever after that I always wanted. She comes on time, they lock eyes as Adi is on the railway tracks, and guess what? They don't hug. He gets run over by that bloody train. And that was a video, guys. Write down in the comments below whether you have some video ideas for our channel. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle is right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.